Okay, so I hiked the AT with a Gossamer Gear The Two tent. What you need for setup is tent stakes, which I replaced the ones that came with the tent with the MSR groundhog stakes. So I have 4 for each corner of the tent, 2 for my guy lines, and then 2 for setting my vestibules. I also have trekking poles. You can use any variety. I happen to hike with the Lecky trekking poles. I typically would set them to 115 plus 125 on my sections. So that's 240. I can't math. I suck at math. But that's how high I have them set. So over 200 to pitch my tent, even though they recommend like 125, but you can't get the right pitch on that. And then of course the tent itself. I also have a Gossamer Gear Polycro footprint, which unfortunately had to get thrown away in Maine. So that's not here right now, but it was essentially a piece of lightweight plastic that I would put on the ground underneath my tent.
Here we go.
All right, so that's it for the pitch on the tent. The two has these 2 really nice big vestibules on it. There's a matching one on the other side. There's one entrance on either side, which is nice because if you are actually using it as a 2-person tent, that means both people have their own vestibule to leave the tent from. And if I want to have a lovely little window into the world, I can just open up all my vestibules and essentially sleep in the outdoors. On in snapshot. So the 2 has a lot of space in it. It's definitely would be tight as a 2-person tent, but as a 1-person tent, it's super nice to have this much space in it because I can lay down on one side with my sleeping pad and everything inside of it and store all of my gear, my tent, and my shoes on the other side and still have space up here for any items that I would like to use. I can also, make this the head or the foot regardless of where I am. The things that I really had a hard time with on this hike in this tent were getting the walls to be at an appropriate pitch, because a lot of times if you're not pitched perfectly straight, like there's the dip down over there, you can see the wall just kind of caves in. And if you're trying to manage your condensation and your foot box is down there, your condensation is going to run down this wall straight onto your foot box. I also had a lot of trouble with condensation in general in this tent. There's no venting at the top. So that meant that all the condensation would just drain down into the tent, and it's supposed to go out through the mesh netting down here, but unfortunately it would just go straight down the netting on the inside and then pool at the bottom of the tent. This tent has a great clothesline at the top, and I love drying my stuff up there at night. But the thing with this tent is if you do have something on your clothesline and you pull it off too hard and your stakes for your vestibules aren't where they're supposed to be, you can actually pull your stakes for your vestibules out and then your entire tent falls down. So definitely both sides on the vestibules are the weak points of your pitch. So if I had to do this again, I would get a full-size stake for my vestibules, or maybe even like a shepherd's crook stake to make sure that my lines stayed good. There's 2 nice big pockets on the inside of the tent on either side, 1 for each person, if you are using it as a 2-person tent, and these were great to store items in. My complaint with the netting on the side is it's starting to get runners in it. So you can see where the netting has started to pull into itself, and those are going to end up becoming holes. This hole here was chewed by a raccoon trying to get it a spoon I couldn't put in my bear can one night. And then I have no idea where this hole or that hole came from, but they're not exactly easy to patch. But overall, pretty decent tent. I can't say I would recommend it though, because it had a lot of durability issues. I have patches all over my tent floor from just random tears that would appear in my tent, even though I wasn't setting up over sharp objects. All of my grommet covers have peeled off. The factory seam seal has completely come undone. So by the end of the trip, when it was pouring rain in the 100-mile wilderness, I was just getting soaked every single night. And I had a lot of issues with the condensation. So A+ on the spacing, A+ on ease of setup, A+ on lightweight design, and absolutely nothing else good to say about it.